History of Van Diemen's Land in 3 minutes. Our little island, we now call Tasmania, was discovered by an explorer named Abel Janzoon Tasman. On one of his voyages in 1642, he discovered this little island. If he had been able to chat to the Aboriginals who lived here, he may have found out they called their home Latuda. But because he didn't know, he decided to name our island Van Diemen's Land. Tasman named it after his commander, who was the colonial administrator of Bactivistop. Aboriginals were the first people to ever live on Van Diemen's Land. Not the first creatures, the first people. They were not very advanced in technology and mostly had spears to hunt with. Aboriginal people lived in shelters made of bark and moved about searching for food. They had to use the resources on our island to survive. The Aboriginals mostly lived near the coast and hunted and ate sea mammals. Their tools consisted of wooden spears, throwing sticks, flaked stone tools, and bone implements. They also made basketry for carrying nuts and berries and used bark canoes for traveling up and down the coast. In 1803, a man named Lieutenant John Bowen arrived on the Aborigines Island and made the first European settlement at Risdon Cove. In 1804, Lieutenant Governor David Collins moved this settlement to the other side of the river. Van Diemen's Land didn't just have people make a settlement. In fact, most of the people on the islands were actually convicts. Speaking of convicts, lots were sent to Port Arthur, which was just a big prison. But it was these convicts who were used to build the houses, roads, wharves, and boats for the colony, and they were just like slaves. Life was hard. When you went to the church, it looked like you went down holes, so you couldn't see anyone. Also, you had to wear the face mask in the courtyard, and if you were trying to talk to anyone, you got sent to the darkroom. You just had to stay in there for 23 hours a day, then have an hour of exercise. If you were a well-behaved convict, you might have been lucky enough to get a trade, which basically means you just got a job that didn't pay you. I mean, it paid for your sanity. I reckon convicts wanted to be good because if you were given the silent treatment, many convicts went mad and were sent to the insane asylum. Speaking of insane asylums, the wrong ones may have been locked up. Many of the colonists stole Aboriginal lives and murdered them. In fact, they almost wiped out the entire Aboriginal population. This surely means goal time. George Robinson was a man that tried to save the Aboriginals by taking them to Flinders Island, but everything he tried was an epic fail. Well, time's up because in 1856, Van Diemen's Land was no more. It was now named Tasmania after the person who discovered it, Abel Tasman. But for Tasmanian Aborigines, our island will always be called Latuda.